Hello, everyone.
Hello,
I was like, I am Alex,
and I'm Ryan.
and we are bringing you our thoughts, opinions, and all the tea on Survivor Winners at War, episode
10,
10, 11.
10, 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure this is mirrored. So when I went like this, or I guess that's probably 10 once it's actually right. I don't,
You got it.
yeah, sure. Um, Everything on my screen, when we post it, it's always flipped. Anyway, what an interesting episode. We had a lot of Survivor first. Ryan, what did you think?
I think for the first time this season, I really felt like we had two very solid episodes back to back.
I agree.
Uh, it was a bit, and I made this comment earlier in the season, and I can't remember what moment it was during. Oh, it was Ethan's breakdown / recovery on Edge of Extinction, where I said, like, we as fans, like, we deserve moments like this after 40 seasons. And, like, I definitely had that moment in the first half of this episode as well. So props to the editors and Probst and the producers, everybody involved. This was something that was super cool to see happen. How did you feel about it?
I really loved it. I think when I was younger, I used to, I don't know if I really loved the family visits. I just thought, oh, okay, whatever.
Same.
You
Yeah.
know, like at the time I was living with my parents and I was in high school when Survivor, high school or middle school when Survivor debuted. I was like, we're gonna keep that a secret. Anyway, so the idea of like 39 days without my parents just sounded like heaven. But I'd say in the last 10 years, I always love the family visits. I am totally that person who, if I watched the show in person with anyone else, I would totally be the one ugly crying because that's exactly what happens. I thought it was very well done. I did enjoy the fact that there wasn't really a challenge because I can only imagine. There's part of me that's happy there wasn't a challenge. There's part of me that wishes there had been a challenge. Can you imagine if someone had won a challenge and said, these 4 people get their entire families come back and these 4 people get absolutely nothing? The shade, even if they had done like, hey, the first 4 finishers get to pick 4 people to bring their families back to camp. Or I guess that would be first 3 finishers pick 3 families to go back to camp. I don't care. Like, that would have been great. But it was great. It was really well done. Yeah. What were your thoughts when they started bringing out like the entire families?
Well, so, like, first off, the episode started and we didn't start at Edge of Extinction. We started off right at this challenge beach, and I was like, this is weird. Like, they haven't done that all season, pretty much. It has pretty much always started at Edge.
Yeah, they didn't have usually there's like we're getting back to camp, this is who went.
Yeah.
And we really didn't get much of that.
And then, like, Jeff starts talking, and you kind of quickly pick up, like, oh, it's loved ones? It's only top 10. Like, this is very weird. Like, we're literally halfway through the season. There's 10 people, and we're doing loved ones. This is weird.
Yeah.
And then when they started bringing out the full families, it was just like, it was a super cool moment. There were a few of the people that they brought out that I was like, I had certain thoughts. Denise's daughter, I want to see her daughter play season 45 so bad.
So bad! What's funny, and this is how I just think, I was so worried. Sorry, go ahead, I just cut you off.
No, you're fine, go.
I seriously was the person who was like, normally I'm really emotional. Like, am I over the season? Is there a problem? Am I broken? Because the first like 3 people, I can't even remember who they all were. I was like, oh, that's sweet. Their kids are out there. What was almost my did you notice moment was when like all the small children coming out, like, where the absolute hell am I? Who are these people? Why is that person crying? I have no idea. It looks like my mom, but she's like 7 shades darker than she normally is. This is uncomfortable. Like, that was like every child under the age of 4 that was out there, except maybe Jeremy's kids. I don't know. Everyone else just seemed really like child labor laws. Anybody? Is there anything going on? But clearly, if there was ever a question that I am purely biased for Denise, I didn't start crying until Denise's husband and daughter came out.
that was like the visit that made me emotional was Denise. And I was like, obvious Denise bias here, but like we don't really ever see Denise emotional. I don't think ever. I don't think we've ever seen her cry on the show. I might be wrong.
I honestly don't recall. I think she might have cried because it was her husband that came out during Philippines, right?
Yeah. I don't remember it all, but I'm pretty sure it was.
I was like, I'd assume it was her husband because I don't remember a sister or
Much as I love
side or a roommate. I assumed it was her husband.
Much as I love Denise and her win, I've only seen Philippines one time. So
I think that's all. When you're watching Perfection, you only need to watch it once. But that's just, no. Once Denise's husband and daughter came out, like pretty much almost everyone else who came out after that, I was just like, I'm not crying. You're crying. I'm not. And I can only imagine. It was also my almost did you notice moment. Jeff Probst had no control. Once the family members are out there, like even after everyone's family had been brought out, every time Jeff Probst is like talking to the group, at least half of them are just like, sure, yeah, right, perfect. Like no one had time for Jeff Probst. Nobody. And
completely.
It was so fantastic. But I also felt like if you had been Tyson or Jeremy, I'm sure at one point I'm like, get them out here now.
Right. They made Jeremy wait to last, didn't they? I'm like, that's cruel. He's got 4 kids.
That was one of those ones where I'm like, maybe the children, they probably went, well, Kim's children seem completely mortified by this entire experience. They're not making a damn peep. So let's let Kim get out there first. They're probably just like, which groups are creating the most noise? Naturally, I would have been the last family member that ever would have been allowed out there because I am particularly audible. That being said, you know, when Jeremy's family got out there, everyone's like screaming, all the kids are going crazy. He's like, let's go. It was so good. And that's probably why they went so long.
There you
go. Loud people, man. Loud people.
Other moments that really stood out for me for the loved ones visit, I really liked Michelle's sister. I want her to play season 42.
I felt bad. I like Michelle's sister so much more than I like Michelle. Go ahead.
I kind of felt that way a little bit. Not that I dislike Michelle, but I really liked her sister. And then
I don't dislike Michelle as a person. As a person, I'm sure she and I would kick it, and she'd be like, "You're boring" or "You're annoying," and I wouldn't even doubt her or blame her. That being said,
so I want Denise's daughter to play a future season, Michelle's sister to play a future season, and I want Sophie's fiance to be my husband. He was cute. He was very cute. I took a moment to realize, like, and I mention this decently often, that I'm not the biggest Tyson fan in the world, but I do like him because he's so funny and like answering like his like talking to his daughter. He was just being so funny. I really felt like you get like best dad in the world vibes from Tyson.
No.
Like you really get best dad in the world vibes from Tyson. And it was so cool because like the archetype that he's built up on Survivor is kind of an arrogant douche.
Yeah.
But like you can see
like
that it's
the softer side of Tyson, the like okay, what he was like making canned soup for us. I'm like, I know if I have children, it will take years for me to develop that kind of interest in things that are really important to the kids, but to me they seem kind of trivial.
Right.
So seeing Tyson in that role was great. Tyson's great for comedy. He's great for color. I almost said color coding, for color commentary. I just didn't want to be repetitive, but it was great seeing him in that moment. So
yeah,
I agree.
I really enjoyed the moment when Sarah and her husband and her daughter were reunited, or son. Sorry.
Right, if that were a girl, I'd be like, what? I thought it was a boy.
I didn't write down some of these moments that are coming to my mind, but and they were talking, and then they went to like start to head back to the bench, and he like tried to grab the son back, and she was like, I'm holding, like, let me fucking carry my kid, dude.
Like, no! You've had him the entire flight from the U.S. the entire time here. Bite me. I'm holding my child, douche.
It was, like, totally, like, unintentional, unscripted, funny, but, like, he obviously has probably just been used to like having to care for his son at all times for the last how many weeks. So
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, my next thing was just a wrap up. So
Yeah, no, I love that they had a little picnic. I literally am that freak who, if they had like an entire like bonus episode just dedicated towards the families, both on I don't wanna what's the word?
we're almost
Feel
there.
everything, count all my chickens before they hatch, whatever. But yeah, I would have loved to just watch like an hour of like the picnic that they all had. Because I can only imagine, like, you're sure, like, hey, this is me, this is my spouse or partner, these are my kids. And then also, you can only imagine, like, the kids probably interacted with each other quite a bit. Like, the players probably interacted with, like, the children of the other players. And I'm just like, oh, I would have absolutely, like, loved to watch something like that. It's not a complaint and it's not a criticism that they didn't include that because it's only an hour episode. But.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to like wrap myself in a blanket that is Survivor Family season 40 picnic. And yeah, it was just great.
It was super cool, and it was the people coming back deserved that, and we as viewers deserved it. It was a great moment for the Survivor community at large. So
It was.
my big did you miss it moment from this episode is when Jeff announces that everyone gets a loved one visit. There is no challenge. Everyone gets time. All of the families are hanging out and like rejoicing and hugging and talking and giggling and laughing. And Sophie and her fiance start sprinting across the beach to go screw in the woods. I swear to God, you go watch it. They took off sprinting across the beach and everyone is still sitting in that same challenge area while they're like,
God. No one on the planet wants that to be true more than myself, because that sounds fantastic. I gotta be honest, if for whatever reason I were dating someone and they became my loved one's visit while I was on Survivor, I'd be like, I know I look like I have not bathed in like 7 days, and the truth of the matter is it's been 4. That being said, let's go in the woods and get naked, just so we can brag about being the first couple to go in the woods and get naked. Anyone? Anyone? No? Just me? Okay. I'm weird, I guess. Uh-oh, we're lagging. We're lagging. So while we're waiting for Ryan to get back.
At one, I am.
Oh, I'm just going to
Can you
be
hear
talking about wanting to bang my potential boyfriend / spouse in the woods on Survivor in the hypothetical situation that I am A, there, and B, making it to the loved one visit. Ryan, are you back yet? I'm terrible at napping. Yay, you're here.
I think I'm back. So, of all the did you miss it moments that I've noticed this season, that is the one that I want you to go back and check out, because
I'm going to have to. I love Sophie so very, very much. And I almost like, what did you think? And then we have to wrap it up, because I feel like we've already been talking about this for 25 minutes. What was it? What did you think? I don't know. I felt a particular way when it was like, oh, hey, so it's your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, like your romantic partner and your offspring. And if you don't have any offspring, it was like you got one person. And part of me was almost curious, like, if, like, for Michelle, who's not married and who doesn't have children, like, is she going to get like a sister plus a parent or both parents? I don't know what her family tree looks like currently or anything like that. Like, I don't know. I hate asking the question because it sounds like it's a negative, and it's not. Just part of me was like, oh, well, Kim got 4 people. Like, is everyone going to get like a certain amount of people to come out and like cheer him on?
Yeah, well, I think
we lost him.
I think the big thing is like they were trying to mostly go for immediate family. That's and fair. Like obviously people like Michelle, like that's not going to happen because she doesn't have like a spouse, and Nick has a fiance. So like I think they just, for those people, they were probably like, okay, we're just going to go with one loved one. But then if you have kids, because I'm sure that was the biggest thing for people to come back. Like some people probably had an inkling like their families were going to be able to come out, because that was probably a part of like people agreeing, yeah, I'm going to come back and do the season. But if I make it to loved ones, I want to see my kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just weird because like out of anyone I've ever dated, even at our like most in love and like the best parts of our relationship where we're like everything's going great, you know, there's no fighting, everything like that, I'm still that person to be like, baby, I love you. And I look forward to seeing like us continuing this till like time ends or like the Republican administration like destroys our country. Knock, knock. But I am always going to be that person who's going to go, oh no, like I love you. But if I ever go on Survivor and it's loved ones visit, it is my dad or it is my mom.
Yeah. For me, like
Zero
hands down, it would be my dad, and like we would probably lose the challenge, but I wouldn't care. Like
See, and it's one of those ones where it's like if I wanted to win the challenge, like my dad's 69, he's 70 next month, and then my mom is 63. And I'm like, usually the challenges, it's like it's usually like a younger set, not always. And if we would win, I honestly wouldn't want to win that challenge to begin with because everyone who wins the challenge makes enemies by not picking their family members and blah, blah, and blah. So I'd want to be one of those ones like, yeah, you should absolutely be mad at that person that didn't let you pick your family member. That's horrible. I can't do that if I win. So
I was super, super surprised and happy to see that the loved ones got their visit with the people that at Extinction. That was so awesome. I think that I liked that even more than seeing the people in the game get it because like
can you imagine?
It was all like the old school people, so I was like that were on edge. So I was like, oh, like, you know, it's been how long since they've even had a memory of being on this island and getting a loved one's visit. So
I was sitting there wondering like what would be more impactful for me, just because I know when you're still in the game and you're constantly like, I like these are the people I'm working with, everyone's potentially looking to screw me over next. This is so horrible. I'm constantly stressed out. So rough. I'm like, I know that I would love to have like a loved one come and just be like, I love you. Just come here. You're fine. And then also it's like, I imagine that was super impactful for the players still part of the immediate game. But I can also imagine being on Edge of Extinction where like you are constantly like, I need to find fire tokens. I haven't eaten a full meal in forever. I hate everyone here. I can imagine it was probably like twofold like exciting for the people on Edge of Extinction. Because when you go out there, you have such high hopes of like being in the game, playing the game, winning the game, and then you get voted off and you're just like, why am I torturing myself to stay here? I should have taken a play out of Sandra Diaz-Twine's book and just raised the frickin' sail. And then your family members come out and you're just like, that's why I'm stuck here on Edge of Extinction because I'm doing it for them. So I loved it all around. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was well done. I barely recognized Nadia. What was it? I found it interesting. I almost wanted them to be like, oh, this is my fiance. I think Adam's brother. No, it was Adam's dad. Adam's dad was out there. I thought it was his brother because that's who was out there last time. And I know I've been very critical of Adam in pretty much the entirety of the season. It was really sweet to kind of see him and his dad have that moment since he and his brother had the moment during Millennials versus Gen X. And kind of see that come full circle. So I thought that was really sweet. I also love seeing Yule's wife, who's just a perfect, like, deity of beauty.
Why is everyone in Yule's family so beautiful? That was my only comment about the Edge of Extinction visits was why is everyone in Yule's family beautiful? I hate him, his daughter, his wife, all of them. I hate them.
Why? It's like you're just genetically programmed to be Korean and gorgeous. I think he's Korean. If he's not,
yeah. I'm pretty sure I've looked that up before.
I thought he was, and I thought I remembered one of us saying that from an earlier episode.
Yeah, you're
never going to see this video anyway, but I apologize if you're not Korean. That being said, I'm good.
Yes. So we move on to the immunity challenge.
We did not have a who can last the longest, holding on to, standing on, pulling, like we didn't have one of those, so I was thrilled. That's all I got.
Yeah, I've seen this iteration of this challenge a few times on US Survivor. They do variants of it a lot on Australian Survivor. So it's not a challenge that I'm ever necessarily thrilled to see, but I don't mind it so much. I was really going into it hoping for a Sophie win because I just feel like as the numbers dwindle, pairs become more obvious. And it's very obvious to people in the game right now that Sarah and Sophie are a big duo. in this challenge, what I think a lot of people take for granted when they're playing in it is that it's so much easier to move forward than it is backward. Like you can go way faster when you can see the ground in front of you and what you're doing. And
Yeah.
people kind of like they do the opposite almost. They go really fast or they go really slow all the way up, especially early on. And then they're like, let me try and make up speed. And like, that's when you lose your slack. So I think we saw like the most successful people in the challenge were the people who understood that and went backwards faster.
Same. I found it fascinating the number of people. It's like, I've got one tile on the board. Let me go ahead and take my time with this. And it's like, the one tile is not going anywhere. Step it up. Let's go.
I would like, if I were playing it, I would figure out a way to, and I would do like 3 times of trial and error of literally running up, putting the tile down and figuring out a way to run back. Like I would just do it because you're going to make up that time anyway. If you can figure out how to do it fast and keep it stable while moving fast, then you're going to be light years ahead of everybody else.
Agreed.
But that's just me. So
we'll take that theory when you're actually on the show.
Yeah.
I don't have a temperament for this kind of challenge because I'm too much of a, we gotta go. Mine would never have made it past like 5 tiles.
I have terrible balance, but speaking of people who don't have the temperament for this challenge, I mean, we get a lot of back and forth. We see Ben almost win, Jeremy almost win, blah, blah, blah. Tony, of all people, wins, and multiple times he makes the comment he won a patience challenge. Like, that is not his thing.
I know, like, if you had told me, back in Kagyan that he was going to win this challenge, I'd be like, clearly you're high or stupid. I don't care which one, just get away from me. But the fact that that's the challenge that he won, and then more importantly, that it was his first immunity challenge, or individual immunity challenge win in 3 seasons, I didn't know that. I assumed he would have won one in Kagyan, but yeah, I was impressed. I was very impressed with Tony winning this. What I found fascinating, because I know I would have done it, I don't think he made any friends the multiple times. He was just like, oh, yeah, I want immunity. I want to pay. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Oh, yeah, no. There's not an idol or immunity nullifier, is there? So I found that really fascinating.
I was genuinely shocked to be told by him that he did not win an immunity in Cagayan because I for sure thought he had. So,
yeah. I think of all the men left in the game, if I wanted any of them to win it, I would have wanted it to be either Tony, because he's not my favorite. He's probably kind of towards the middle, placement-wise, of my level of importance of who I'd like to see win, or Jeremy, who's kind of he's also in a very similar boat. If Jeremy won, I wouldn't be mad about it, but he's not someone I'm like actively rooting for. So I wasn't upset to see Tony win.
Yeah, I would prefer a Jeremy win over Tony at this point, but I won't be mad at either one of them at this point, which I'll get into a little bit more as we go probably towards the end of the episode, just talking about I think we should probably recap our thoughts on everybody because we'll be at the top 9 and that's a good time to do that. So, right after this all happens, we immediately start getting some initial targeting going on. Jeremy wants to split up Sophie and Sarah wants Kim out. Kim as an idol, and
as an idol. Jeremy has his.
Tony and Sarah are having a big falling out about. Oops, sorry, did I lag again?
You did. That's why I was jumping over you, because I was like, ooh, if I keep talking while Ryan is frozen, no one will ever know that you were lagging. There's a method to me talking as much as I do. There's a method to the
so Sarah and Tony are kind of butting heads a little bit on who they want out.
Fascinating to watch.
It was very interesting. I do have to kind of give it to Tony a little bit here. I don't think Tony was right in the argument. I don't think either one was. Like, they were both getting worked up a little bit and kind of shutting each other down. But like, to be fair, like, Tony has immunity, and like that is a huge driving factor in decisions about who goes home. Yeah. So like, yeah, he kind of can put his foot down a little bit more because it's not going to fly back on him. So
when you have individual immunity, that's 120% when you need to make your strikes.
Right.
Because if you don't have immunity and you're like, oh, I want to go after player A, and 6 players go, I like player A is part of the plan I have designed and me getting towards the end, goodbye you. When you have immunity, that is 120% when you just say, I love you, I respect you, I want us to keep working together. This is who I want to see go home. This is who I'm going to try and see go home. You do not back down. You make that happen.
Well, and we really see that come to fruition because Tony sits down in the middle of Nick and Ben is like, you guys want to just take out Jeremy? And they're immediately like, yep, let's do it because Tony has the necklace. Like, and I don't think they ran to Jeremy and they were like, hey, Tony's gonna vote you. Like, if you do that and then Jeremy confronts Tony, Tony's like, all right, now Nick, you're gone. Like, that was stupid.
No, the person with immunity, that's why I'm saying that. When you have immunity, you need to make shit happen because all anyone's gonna do, worst case scenario, you get lied to or you get blindsided, but you don't go home when you have that necklace.
Right. And I do really want to, and I don't want to, dredge on this too much because he is out of the game now, Adam, but like, the fact that this vote became where the war started, instead of being post-Wendell vote, I think is really a testament of how much Adam burned his bridges and made mistakes in the game. Because if Jeremy was still so mad about Sophie and Sarah being close together and taking out Wendell, he would have tried to exact revenge on it last vote when he still had Adam as a potential person to get a number 4 in his vote.
Right. I think Jeremy recognized that Adam was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and was like,
I think everybody did.
Make this happen with you.
The fact that the vote was so easily pushed onto Adam, like, it isn't, I think it's a testament to, like, that, like, it wasn't a Nick saying no one's willing to play. It's just people are like, no one's willing to play with Adam in the game.
Like, pretty much. And that's why people are like, Adam's such a great game player. I'm like, in a season where it's constantly, hey, person A, want to vote out person B? And it's like, well, I'm actually really close to person B. Person F and G are also close to this person, so that's probably not going to happen. The fact that many people could just unanimously be like, get rid of Adam, sure.
Right, because, I mean, they pushed off their qualms about the top 12 vote. They literally pushed everything aside, voted out Adam, and then they were like, oh, we're still pissed about top 12, so let's deal with that. Like, that's not the mark of, like, a player that was a significant strategist or something. It's a mark of someone that they were all like, no, like, we're just over it. Like, we'd rather sacrifice doing what's in our own best interest for our games than deal with this person being in the game anymore.
There's that. So, and granted, there's a significant amount that could be left up to editing and what we've seen versus what actually happened. But I wholeheartedly agree with you, generally speaking. Adam, I don't think was a huge threat to win the game. And I think him being voted out was just a sign of that. Some people would argue, like, no, they took him out because they saw him as a threat to win. I just disagree. That being said, are we good to move on to Tribal Council?
I just have a couple more things I really quickly want to pop up here that were surprising to me. So Jeremy, Kim, and Tyson end up teaming up as a group of 3, and they're kind of like, this is our only real chance. And this is surprising to me because this is the 3 that I thought were going to come together at the merge.
Really?
Because Tyson
Jeremy,
is
Kim, and Tyson?
Yes.
Please.
The reason for that is because I think Jeremy really gravitates towards really strong female players in general. And I think he probably wanted to team up with, like, Sarah and realized that she already had Ben, she already had Sophie, like, she probably was, and she had Tony, so, like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then Sophie kind of the same. I think Sophie kind of had Ben and Sarah. So Tyson coming back from Edge, I think, in your mind, is a good player. Like, that probably disqualifies him from winning. So he's a good ally. And Kim kind of being that other really strong female a little bit. Like, I think that's how people view her, is like Jeremy's like the male Kim and Kim is like the female Jeremy kind of winner.
Sorry.
So
it was Tyson comes back from Edge of Extinction.
Surprised that they hadn't. Did I cut out that whole
You
time?
totally did. So it was Tyson coming back from Edge of Extinction, and then you
I'm hoping the lag is just on your end, so when the video posts, everything I'm saying shows up. But
well, it's the Zoom meeting, and we're recording it from my computer. So if you lag during the recording,
you're right.
These are fun for the
to make a long story short, I think Jeremy and Kim are viewed as male and female counterpart winners of each other. They both had very dominating seasons. And I think Tyson coming back from Edge kind of disqualifies him from winning in a lot of people's minds. So I think 3 people that make a lot of sense to work together.
Yeah, I agree. I think in a regular season, as we saw with Survivor Edge of Extinction, in a regular season, a lot of people just want to give the money to the person from Edge, which made no sense to us. I'd be stunned if someone from Edge of Extinction made their way back into the main game and then won it. I would be so mystified if that is actually what happened. I'd hate it almost as much as the first time I watched it. Unless it was if it was like Nick, Michelle, and person from Edge of Extinction, that's like the one scenario where I would be like, it could be Danny Boatwright. Give her the money. I don't care. I don't care. And that's not a diss on Danny Boatwright. We haven't seen her either in the main game or on Edge of Extinction being like a dominant force. So that wasn't a dig at Danny. That's just how I feel.
So we have those 3, and they're thinking about teaming up with Denise and Michelle to take out Sophie, which, like, slow your roll, people, please.
I was like, not my Sophie. No one. No.
I have to throw it out there again. Queen Denise untargeted for another round.
I mean, you say that, but
per the edit?
Oh, okay, if we're talking like prior to Tribal Council, then sure. But I'm like, Denise was pretty well targeted this episode.
Prior to Tribal, as well as Nick and Michelle. None of their names thrown out there, which is fascinating.
Are you surprised?
Nick and Michelle are the 2 in the minority. So again, my whole point about Adam, they were easy votes last round, and now they're kind of flip votes here. So
I think I have said it multiple times. I was wrong about Adam, thankfully. I think both Nick and Michelle go final 6. And the reason why, if Sophie and Kim are going to be going at it, if Jeremy and Sarah are going to be going at it, regardless of who wins either fight, Nick and Michelle are going to be there as people just kind of there because people need numbers. They're so not there to be, what was the old argument? I can't remember it off the top of my head. They are there because people need numbers, and right now, the only way people are going to focus votes on Nick and Michelle if it's literally, you come to me saying, hey, I want to vote this person. I won't vote this person, but I will vote Nick because Nick doesn't do anything. But in a winter season, no one's getting rid of Nick and Michelle purely because if they think that they can manipulate them into voting a particular way, which, let's be honest, it happened this episode, they don't do anything of substantial mentioning. They just don't, at least as far as the edit goes. I'd like to think that what we're not seeing is that they're actually very much like doing the sneaky stuff. The reason why they're going to keep sneaking by is because no one takes them seriously because they're not playing the game at a similar level of all the people that are going to be threats for the next 4 episodes. Period.
Right. So
I'd love to be wrong about that.
Hopefully you are.
I can't wait to be wrong about that. I'm setting myself up in a way where it's like, if Nick or Michelle go, I am thrilled to be wrong. If they don't go, I'm right. So in a way, it's a win-win situation that I'm in.
We're heading into Tribal Council, and there are so many advantages here that can be at play. We've got multiple idols, multiple different things going on. This is one of the...
Sarah has to steal a vote. Jeremy has a what was it? Safety without power.
Reality.
Have we talked about is there an idol in the merged tribe? Because I swear it hasn't been found by anybody.
It hasn't been found or discussed, but I mean, there's probably going to be one hidden soon if there wasn't. But Sophie and Kim both have idols, and then Jeremy and Sarah have their powers. So this is another one of those moments I genuinely have no idea what's about to happen, but my gut heading into Tribal Council says that Sarah is about to go home.
Really?
Because of an idol play. So
I thought it's going to be either Sarah or Sophie. And the Survivor, like the next week on Survivor, is habitually, especially this season, like red herring, like making it seem like one player is going to go home when they don't even receive any votes. But I literally thought, like, these people are smart. It's the final, what are we at now? Final 10? We were at the final 10, now we're at the final 9.
Mhm.
Is that right? Yeah, it is. So yeah, I was just like, Sarah and Sophie have so much power and they have so much influence over the game. Like, one of the two of them has to go. So I was stunned that that is not what happened.
Right. Well, we get into tribal.
Well, going
And,
into tribal, what I found fascinating is literally Jeff asks, at least in the edit, the first question, and people already start to whisper. It was question one. It's all
right.
kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. Did we not give you guys enough time at camp to discuss?
Clearly not.
Clearly not.
It was live for that first part. It was almost a little bit kind of like other than that, things were sort of abnormal, not abnormal. Things were sort of normal. I don't know why I said abnormal. Um,
Not drinking, clearly.
I'm drinking Gatorade. um,
Uh-huh.
so things are pretty straightforward. I thought until we get to the time to vote, and this is kind of when we have probably the most interesting standoff I think in a tribal council ever.
Ever in
Um,
in the history of the show, we've never seen anything like that, where two separate people go, Jeff,
and then just whoop.
and I have to
But
be honest, I was here for that moment.
absolutely, but here's the thing: at that point you have to wait to see what card the other person plays because
Of
that makes
course.
all of the difference.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing, because a lot of the online community has made mentions against, I don't want to say it before we actually talk about it, have made a lot of, an idol gets played this episode, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say about the player who played the idol. And what I found fascinating is I'm just like, you're literally talking about 10 people who have all proven to be master players, master manipulators, and good at this game. Well, some better at the game than others. I'm not going to name names. Anyway, that being said, I found it very fascinating how much vitriol went against the person who played the idol in a way that wound up not affecting who went home. And I'm just like, that's just the name of the game they're at right now. We have so many people who play their cards to their chest, who have a poker face for the gods, and people just have to respect that.
Right. I mean, I do have thoughts on the idol play, but
I was
I really want to commend Jeremy for his use of his power because here's the thing: if he doesn't use his power, there is a possibility where he gets idled and his alliance gets majority and they're okay.
yeah.
That is a realm of possibility, but again, I don't know if it's the true realm of possibility because we are still working with Sarah's steal a vote here. So what
Which
I think
I didn't know he
happens,
had, I don't think.
well, huh?
I don't think that Jeremy knew that Sarah had a steal a vote.
Right. And I think the fact that Sarah spoke up is why he ultimately decided, yeah, I'm going to play this. Because if Jeremy, and I only want to speculate this because, before we talk about everything else that happened, if Jeremy doesn't play that advantage and Sarah still plays her steal a vote, guaranteed it's a 3-3-3 split. No matter who Kim plays her idol on, someone from Kim's alliance is going home. So
Think?
for sure,
Okay.
because you have Kim, Jeremy, Denise, and Tyson have all voted together, but Denise's vote got stolen, so that's 3. And then
Right.
the other 6 all voted in accord.
No, they didn't.
I mean, in terms of their alliance.
Oh, because I'm
Tyson,
sitting here like, I don't know. There were so many different layers and so many different levels to this tribal council. And what I find so beautiful, and a lot of people don't like that, like, there's a significant amount of fans of the show who don't like that players are allowed to like whisper and things like that. To me, that makes the show so much more enjoyable and so much more fun. But that's just me. What I found fascinating is when Sophie has her moment where she says, "Why don't the 5 of us just go and have a conversation?" That was, part of me is like, that is edit. Part of me wants to be like, yes, Sophie Queen. Yes, we are here for it. Yes, give me a fork. Give me a bib. Let's go. Don't put your hands anywhere near my mouth unless you want to learn how to write with your feet. Because Sophie absolutely owned it. I also want to believe that a lot led up to the Sophie moment. And it was almost my did you know notice thing. When everyone's like freaking out and like whispering everything, Sophie's just there like.
Yep. I think it.
And part of me wants to think that's it, but part of me also wants to be like, there is a new queen, there is a new sheriff, and it is Sophie.
It is absolutely, like, for me, it's got to be top 3 moments of the season so far at a tribal council. Sophie going, hey guys, why don't the 5 of us just go make a decision over there? Because it's brilliant gameplay. I got into an argument with a friend today that said that they feel like Sophie hasn't driven decisions when Sophie was the one that sent Wendell home. And Sophie had a moment today, or not today, yesterday, Wednesday, with this vote where it wasn't just being the voice of reason that makes all the chit chatter stop. It was threefold, and I thought this was so impressive. She gives us a confessional in the episode talking about Sarah's vote steal and how Sarah's apprehensive to use it, but Sophie really wants her to play it. Mm-hmm. So this is what this decision does. 1, yes, it gets all these people on board for the same votes that they know that they're going to have majority because Jeremy is already pieced out of tribal council. 2, Sarah now has to play her vote advantage because Sophie didn't say, hey, Michelle, you come with the 5 of us and the 6 of us will make a decision together. She said, why don't the 5 of us just go over here? Because now if 4 people are over there, they have 5. Sarah has to play her steal a vote for them to have 6-3. So that if they split 3-3, they have the vote advantage.
Yeah.
And that's if Michelle votes with them, which ultimately she doesn't anyway, but regardless.
No, she did. Michelle voted for Tyson.
No, I meant if Michelle voted with the minority, which she was
the minority. I apologize. Sorry.
No worries. Because she was left out of that group of 5 that went over there.
Well, what's interesting, what was it? Immediately after the vote, I went to Wikipedia and they had it wrong, which I know that's very hard to believe that Wikipedia could have information that's not accurate. But yeah, the fact that both Nick and Michelle voted for Tyson, I was fascinated. Spoiler alert, because we're finally, it's only taken us 10 episodes. We've finally gotten really good about waiting until the actual tribal council to talk about who goes home. Yeah, spoiler alert. I was terrified because the 3 that I'm rooting for that are still in the game are Kim, Sophie, and Denise. And all 3 of them were all kinds of spotlight in this episode. Denise gets votes. Kim plays an idol. Sophie stands up in front of everybody and says, like, hey, why don't we, the majority, talk about who from the minority we're going to vote out? And not one of the 3 of them went home, and I was thrilled. Go ahead.
Right. I do want to quickly mention the other thing that I think that was brilliant about Sophie's speech thing was the jury sitting there and watching her make this decision. That proves that Sophie is sitting on some kind of pedestal in the game. And I think that's super important because now it's not just saying, well, I made this move. You have proof that you made this move. And that's super key.
Like, while still in the game, it was kind of dumb on Sophie's part to do that just because everyone's going to be like, did you see how Sophie just kind of stood up and like godfathered Tyson out of the game? Ooh, I said it. Damn it! At least we made it this far.
We were there.
Spoiler alert, we were almost there anyway. The fact that Sophie stood up and said, hey, let's be clear, majority, go and have this conversation. It's one of those situations where it's just like in any big move that's seen by all the other players, it puts the target on your back if there's not already one there, which for Sophie there already is anyway. It takes the target that's already on your back and it makes it bigger. That being said, if Sophie defies reality and makes it to the end, she gets to tell the jury, hey, remember when I literally stood up in tribal council and said, hey, the 5 of us, let's go get this situation handled. And then she handled it.
Right. +1 that wasn't even with them.
+2, technically.
It was just, I thought it was masterful. It was the kind of grandstanding that you should do in Survivor. You're showboating without showboating, which I thought was super smart. And she is such a student of the game that she knows exactly what she was doing when she did it.
She was I think she's very aware. I think also, sorry to cut you off, I just think that if anything, Sophie, for the majority of tribal council, was like, I'm so over this. I'm so done. Sophie was many fans of Survivor who's like, I hate the whispering, I hate the talking. It's like, no, this is what's in place. This is what's gonna happen. All this chatter is arbitrary. This is dumb. I just want to write a name down and go back to camp. Anyone else
Right.
on board? Bye. That's so
Right. So we're heading into the votes, and people are voting, and Kim has a decision to make here. And I'm watching this thinking Kim is honestly in a lose-lose situation, because I'm convinced at this point the majority group of 5, they have a vote steal. They're going to steal Kim or Tyson or Denise or Michelle's votes. So it's going to be 6-3 no matter what in terms of that. So it's going to be a 3-3 split no matter what they do. Kim is toast because she either plays her idol on herself and stays, but Tyson goes, or she plays her idol on someone else and she goes. Like there's no winning when it's a 3-3 split and you're in the bottom 3. But I'm shocked here because Kim stands up to play her idol and she picks Denise.
I was stunned.
I was shocked, not in a bad way, because I mean, my girl Denise has to stay.
Hey, I wasn't mad.
I'm convinced that Denise isn't getting any votes. So I'm like, why you did that, girl? But like, for me, I get Kim wants to go out making a big move if she has to go out.
Yeah.
But this is a scenario where you don't risk it. Like if you're 3 against 6, you have to idol yourself. I was shocked. I was shocked.
Anyway, I think, because like I said, a lot of people online are giving Kim flack for playing an idol and it not actually affecting who goes home. For me, anytime you play an idol for another player and that player stays, obviously, because they have an idol, and you stay, that shows that you can at least tell the jury, I was so confident in where I was in the game socially and that nobody was going to vote me out. I played an idol for somebody else. I still, even though I played it in a way that didn't affect who went home, I was that set on who was getting votes. And I knew 120% I was not getting a single vote, that I played it for somebody else. That shows that she had a level of social game that was phenomenal. That also shows that she 120% was willing to stick her neck out in front of an entire tribal council to save Denise. Like that, if anything, like it sucks if she needs an idol in the future and she doesn't have one. But it also shows that it's like that's social game, that's a loyalty game. Kim's playing the game, she's playing it amazingly well.
Yeah, I think the fact that Kim didn't get a single vote, I was blown away.
I will say, when Sarah stole Denise's vote, to me that was a red herring, and I was like, when she played it for Denise, I was like, oh my God, Kim's going home.
Right.
Purely because it's almost like when Amanda told Parvati in Heroes versus Villains, like, you need to play that idol for yourself. And Parvati was like, okay, you're lying. So to me, it was almost just like when Amanda did that, it was very obviously a red herring to kind of throw off Parvati. To me, when Sarah said, I'm playing it for Denise, if it had been a regular season, I'd be like, clearly they want Denise out. When it's a Winners at War season, Sarah would not make such a blatant statement against Denise by stealing her vote if she wanted Denise out.
Right.
I was like, that means it's got to be for you or it's got to be for Tyson, maybe Michelle or Nick. I wouldn't waste an idol on Michelle or Nick because I think it's obvious. Go ahead.
I think Tony and Kim probably have some silent, unspoken trust thing going on here, because Tony didn't want Kim to go when he was talking to Sarah, and Kim didn't get any votes, even though she very easily could have, because people knew that she had an idol.
There's that.
I think there might be some confidence in there with Kim not playing the idol on herself, that she knew Tony wouldn't let it be her. And I think, I do think it is smart gameplay to, at this point in time, assume that, we have to harken back here to like Fiji Survivor, where Stacy throws out voting out Edgardo because he's the least likely person to have an idol played on him from the minority. I mean, these are moments that we're seeing are being relevant still today. Kim playing an idol on Denise because Denise would be the least likely person that she would play the idol for. We know Nick probably won't vote for Michelle because they've been working together. So if Michelle is really with that group of 4 that's there, Denise might be, there was a lot of I don't want to fault.
I don't fault Kim playing the
Yeah,
item for
exactly.
Denise at all. I do not.
I can't fault her.
She did what she thought she needed to do because it's the question of, are you trying to reverse psychology me? Are you just trying to like reverse psychology me? There's so many things at play. There's so many different levels to it. I don't fault Kim. She literally made the decision that she felt she needed to make. And she might have thought Sarah might think exactly what I said. It's like, oh, maybe she's trying to divert my attention somewhere outside of Denise when actually Denise is the target. That's the caliber and the level that we're playing the game at in Winners at War. So I don't fault Kim for doing it. Just for me, I was just like, no, if we're playing a steal a vote on Denise, Denise can't be the target. And
Right.
I don't fault her at all. I was stunned. This is like the one tribal council where once we start talking about the votes, I'm gonna go, okay, I know Nick and Michelle both voted for Tyson, which I'm just like, I think at this point, they're just like, hey, we know we're here as numbers. We know we're here as votes. If you actually go online and see Michelle casting her vote, her literal picture is, which I gotta be honest, was my exact reaction, A, when she won her season, and B, when she got invited to play in Winners at War. I was like, really? Out of all the winners, we couldn't have Vecepia, we couldn't have Natalie White, we gotta bring back Michelle. Okay. Whatever, we're fine. I found it fascinating.
Well, ultimately, I am glad that Kim didn't play her idol on Tyson, because if she did, it would have been a 2-2 tie between Denise and Sophie. And
would have gone home.
I would not have been okay. Here's the thing. I would have been okay with the pre-revote psychology debate that Sophie and Denise would have had back and forth, trying to convince people to vote to save them. That would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing.
But I would not have been okay with either one of them leaving. Like, I'm so glad they're both still in the game.
Thank you. My dream final three, the fact that literally all three of like the people, if I could handpick a final three, all three of them had targets the size of Memphis on their backs during this tribal council. The fact that not one of them went home, I'm obsessed.
I'm very happy. Very happy. So heading in the next episode, I feel like Kim's going to be on a warpath, and I'm excited about it. That's about all I have.
Here's the trick. I feel as though there is a very, very strong pull between two different pairs. I feel like Kim and Denise are going to be on one side, and Sophie and Sarah are going to be on another side. That breaks my damn heart because 3 out of those 4 are all going to be targeted, and 3 out of those 4 are players that I'd love to see win the game. Sarah's great. I'm not taking anything away from her. If she does win, I'm not upset. If she doesn't win, I'm really not upset. That being said, I feel as though all the other 5 players in the middle are basically going to spend the rest of the season going, maybe we can take out Kim or Denise, and then the following episode, maybe we can jump ship and vote out Sophie or Sarah. And again, I keep calling it. The only way Nick or Michelle are going to get voted out before Final 6, if not Final 4, is literally going to be people going, there could be idols, this can be used, let's freaking vote out Nick, because no one's going to use an immunity idol to save Nick. Maybe one person that might use an immunity idol to vote out Michelle. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know. I find it fascinating. I'm excited for the next episode. 3 of my favorite 4 going into the season have made it to the final 9. I'm confident one of the 3 of them will go out next episode.
I'm
completely convinced. If it's not one of those 3, it's got to be Sarah.
Who would you say, based on everything we've seen, who are your top 3 players this season? Like, who do you think are the 3 people that have played the best so far?
The 3 that I am currently rooting for are Sophie, Denise, and Kim. I think have played the best game. I will give an honorable mention to Sarah. I will also give an honorable mention to Tony.
Okay.
I feel that Jeremy has not played a bad game. And like I said, if he wins, I'll just go, okay.
I would put Sarah on my list ahead of Kim, honestly. And I'm not a Sarah fan.
Okay.
But I do think that the way that Sarah handles situations is going to be her downfall, whereas the way that Kim handles situations is going to be what can propel her forward in the game.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Sarah has the capacity to be very, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
And I think I respect it because I think not only in a game like Survivor, but even in life in general, you can like micro analyze, like, oh, I said this thing. Did that upset this person? In a game like Survivor, you probably should. But knowing people like with a high level of like, oh gosh, I said this thing. Did maybe I upset that person? Maybe I did that. I think there's something really refreshing about a player who just goes, yeah, I gave my reward to somebody else. And if people try and use that against me, so I felt it was the thing to do. I did it. I'm not going to apologize. And
Right.
I love that. I think that's great. But I think that, at least from the edit, I feel as though Sarah has more of a fearlessness that could easily be used against her down the road than Kim does. Kim definitely approaches the game from a very subtle, from a very, I don't want to use the word meek because I don't think that's what she's doing. It's a very reserved style of gameplay that is still very active as far as this is my resume, kids. What do you want me to do? So, yeah, I think the only two people left in the game where if they were to win, I wouldn't revel in a Ben win. I think he's done a lot. I don't think he's done enough to win it. But if the only two players where I'm really just like, oh my God, if they win, I can't watch the show anymore out of principle, it'd be Nick and Michelle. Also, I'm going to point out, because I know we're super over on time, I'm going to point out, I called it. I was like, now that Wendell's out of the game, what's Michelle going to talk about? 2 episodes in a row, the answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, I think that's about all we have. And I just want to throw it out here, and I'll talk about it more in the future. But I have another conspiracy theory that the girls had a pact to get guys out at the merge, because so far only guys have left at the merge, and girls finally have a majority in the game. And I want to get into it more, but not in this episode. So if it does happen, if it ends up coming to light, I was right. So
no one wants you to be correct more than I, purely because going into the season, like if I could handpick a final 4, all four of them were women. So watching all the girls get picked off episode by episode, I was like, but why? Anyway, I'm feeling good if you're feeling good.
feel great.
Hooray. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Ryan, thank you as always for being such an amazing co-host.
Thank you as well for getting us through the lag. I apologize for our connection issues.
That is all right. I'm sure, I feel like half, if not most of it's probably my side anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you feel a particular way, please leave a comment. If you feel as though we're being unjust in our evaluations, we'd love even more for you to leave a comment. I was like, disagreement is part of the seeds that leads to enlightenment and discussion, and we are all for that. That being said, anything particularly coarse or biting that we might have said about a player, whether one of your favorites or not, purely should be left as just opinions. This is meant for entertainment. We think these are all amazing people. They wouldn't have been cast if they weren't, and that's about that. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.